The sun melted into the horizon like gold spilling over clay rooftops. The village of Eziyama buzzed softly with the fading echoes of market chants, the rattle of motorbikes, and the clanging of distant cooking pots. Evening was when the stories of the day settled into silence, and when secrets sometimes tried to rise. Sarah adjusted the headscarf around her braids as she swept the compound. A chorus of crickets and bird song played in the air, but her mind wandered again. Sandra. It had been nearly a year since they'd graduated from university. Their childhood had been shared in full color, running through maize fields, whispering, secrets under mango trees, fighting and forgiving like sisters. Everyone assumed they were sisters, inseparable since birth, bonded by something deeper than blood. But now, Sarah was alone. Her broom slowed as she heard the rustle of leaves from behind. She turned. There stood Sandra. Only, it wasn't the Sandra she remembered. Her skin, once caramel and glowing, was now pale and drawn. Her cheeks were hollow. Her dress clung awkwardly to her pregnant belly. She looked like a shadow, like someone who had walked through a storm and barely made it out alive. Sarah's broom slipped from her fingers. "Sandra?" Sandra's lips trembled. "I'm sorry." They sat in silence inside Sarah's small room. The paraffin lamp flickered against the walls. Sandra sipped warm water, her hands trembling as if every breath cost her something. "Where have you been?" Sarah asked finally, her voice a careful whisper. Sandra didn't answer at first. Instead, she stared at the baby's clothes folded on Sarah's old school books, ones she'd brought out instinctively. "I thought I could handle it alone," Sandra murmured. "But I was wrong." "Who did this to you?" Sarah asked. "Is he still around?" Sandra shook her head. "He left long before the belly even started to show." Sarah bit her lip. She wanted to scream, to cry, to shake her friend. But instead, she reached across the bed and squeezed Sandra's hand. "You're not alone anymore," she said. The next morning shattered everything. A scream pierced through the early dawn. Sarah flew from her mat to Sandra's bedside. "She's in labor!" she yelled to no one, grabbing a shawl and sprinting barefoot to the midwife's hut. The midwife, Mama Ifeoma, was already half awake and deeply irritated. "Who is screaming like that at this hour?" "Ghosts don't give birth, you know. Humans do," she muttered, snatching her birthing kit. By the time they returned, it was too late. Sandra had delivered not one, but 2 babies, a boy and a girl. Their cries were sharp and healthy, rising against the humid morning like defiance. But Sandra, she lay limp, her eyes half closed, skin pale as chalk. Sarah dropped to her knees. "Sandra? Hey! Hey! Stay with me, please!" Sandra coughed, blood seeping from the corner of her mouth. "Promise me, Sarah," she whispered. "Promise you'll take care of them, like you did with me." Tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks. "Don't say that, don't—" "Promise me." Sarah nodded frantically. "I promise." Sandra smiled barely. Then her hand fell from Sarah's and she was gone. The funeral was swift and quiet. No songs, no wailing, just whispers. "Brought shame," someone muttered. Sarah stood by the grave, cradling the twins wrapped in colorful cloth. She stared at the casket being lowered, trying to make sense of the emptiness. Behind her, voices grew louder. "Sandra disgraced this family," her father snapped. "She got what she asked for," the mother added, arms folded. "Don't think. We'll raise those bastards." Sarah turned, stunned. "They're your grandchildren." "God forbid." We disowned her the moment she returned pregnant. "You want to take care of them? Be our guest." They turned their backs and walked away with the crowd. Sarah stood alone, holding 2 newborns in her trembling arms, and felt the full weight of what she'd just promised. Later that evening, Sarah waited for Luke, her fiancé. He returned dusty from a short trip to the next village. His eyes widened at the sight of the twins. "Whose children are these?" "Sandra's," Sarah replied. She died. I made a promise to her." Luke's face tightened. He didn't speak for a long moment. Then, "That's unfortunate. But I hope you're not saying you're going to keep them." Sarah's heart pounded. "They have no one else, Luke. Her family rejected them. You're not even working, Sarah. You can't feed yourself. Now you want to raise twins?" She tried to explain, but Luke's tone grew sharper. "You think this is what I sent you to school for? To become a babysitter for someone else's mistake?" Tears blurred her vision. "Please, just try to understand." "I won't let my wife bring disgrace to my family," he snapped. "It's either those children go or you do." Sarah held Tracy tighter against her chest as Travis whimpered on the mat. Luke pointed to the door. "You made your choice. Now live with it." Sarah walked through the night barefoot with her mother's old bag slung over one shoulder. Tracy nestled against her chest. Travis bounced lightly on her back. The moon cast their shadows across the empty road. She stopped once, to sit beneath a roadside tree, brush a tear from her cheek, and whisper to herself, "I'll raise you both, no matter what." The road to the city stretched endlessly before her, but she kept walking. The city of Onitsha greeted Sarah with dust and indifference. Noise buzzed from every corner, car horns blaring, bus conductors shouting over each other, street preachers wailing salvation into battered megaphones. But amidst all the chaos, Sarah felt invisible. Just another girl from the village with a baby on her chest, another burden strapped to her back, and no plan. She had no one in this city. Her aunt had died 3 years earlier. A cousin she barely knew worked somewhere near the industrial area, but she didn't have his number. And even if she did, would he take her in? With 2 crying infants, it had been a full day since she last ate. Her only concern was keeping the babies fed. By evening, rain began to fall. The drops were soft at first, like whispers on the skin. Then it turned harsh, slapping rooftops, flooding gutters, and soaking her from head to toe in minutes. Sarah darted beneath a wooden stall outside a closed pepper shop. It was half rotten, tilted to one side, but it had a roof. She spread 2 wrappers on the floor and gently laid Tracy down first, then unstrapped Travis. She curled around them, arms shielding their tiny bodies from the wind. "I'm sorry," she whispered into the night. "Tomorrow, I'll find food, I promise." Morning brought heat and hunger. Tracy's weak cries woke her before sunrise. Travis stirred on the wrapper beside her, blinking at the sky. Sarah reached into the bag. 1 biscuit, crushed into crumbs. Nothing else. She swallowed hard and stood, brushing her damp wrapper clean, strapping both babies on again, and tightening her scarf. Across the street, market women had begun setting up their wares. Smoke rose from makeshift kitchens. The smell of boiling pap made her stomach turn. She approached a food stall cautiously. "Please, can I buy pap? Just a small bowl?" she asked. The woman behind the pot looked her over, unimpressed. "You get money?" Sarah dug into her bag, fingers finding only a small, wrinkled note. The woman took it. "Sit." Sarah fed the twins first, Tracy with a spoon, Travis sucking from her finger. They both stared at her as they ate, eyes wide, trusting. After the meal, she wandered. Her feet carried her to a quiet part of the market where secondhand clothes and electronics were sold. A voice called out behind her. "Sarah?" She turned. Sharon, an old classmate from university, one of Sandra's few city friends, dressed in lace, jewelry shining, holding the latest iPhone. "Oh my God, is that you?" Sharon hugged her without waiting. "You look tired. I need help." They sat on a bench while Sarah explained everything. Sandra's death, the twins, the rejection, Luke, the street. Sharon listened silently, then lit a cigarette. "Listen, I'm going to be real with you," she said. "This isn't sustainable. You're sleeping under stalls with newborns. You could die out here." "I'm trying. I just need a little—" "I know someone," Sharon interrupted. "He's looking for kids. Babies, actually. Twins. You'd be rich overnight." Sarah blinked. "Sorry?" "You give them to him. He handles the rest." "Adoption?" "Whatever. You get paid, clean, fast." Sarah stood. Sharon rolled her eyes. "Don't be dramatic. You want to die in the street with them? You think love fills bottles with milk?" "I promised their mother I'd protect them." "She's dead." "You're not." "I'm done here," Sarah said coldly. She walked away with Tracy sniffling softly against her chest. Behind her, Sharon shouted, "Call me when reality slaps you." By noon, Sarah had sold her phone. She didn't cry when the boy at the stall handed her a pitiful amount. She used the money to buy baby milk, 2 diapers, and a cup of cold water. Then she went back to the same corner of the market and sat down, waiting for nightfall. She didn't pray. She didn't curse. She simply watched the world go by. Legs passing, voices rising, people living lives where no one depended on them for survival. She was invisible again, until she wasn't. A loud commotion broke out near a taxi stand. A young man was screaming at an old man who looked too thin for his clothes. "I said, pay me!" the driver shouted, gripping the old man's collar. "I told you, my money was stolen. I had it when I entered," the old man pleaded. The crowd watched, amused. The driver shoved the old man. He hit the ground hard. Sarah was on her feet before thinking. "Hey, stop that!" The driver turned, surprised. "Who are you?" She ignored him, helped the old man up. "How much does he owe you?" she asked. 500 naira. Sarah untied the corner of her wrapper. Her last note. She handed it to him. The driver took it with a grunt, then, in one violent sweep, slammed her tray of leftover tomatoes to the ground. Gasps rippled through the onlookers. Sarah didn't flinch. She bent, silently picking up what she could. The old man helped her. "I'm sorry, you shouldn't have—" "I did what was right," she said. His name was Papa Joe. He walked slowly, leaning on her arm, leading her to a tiny apartment near the market. The door creaked. The roof leaked in one corner. The bed was just a mat. Still, it was the safest place she'd been in days. "You can stay," he said, opening a window. "Why?" "Because no one helped me once," Papa Joe replied. "And you reminded me of the daughter I lost." Sarah sat down carefully, Tracy asleep on her lap. Tears spilled from her eyes, silently, without sobs. Papa Joe didn't say anything. He went into the kitchen and returned with a plate of yam porridge. Eat. Years passed in the rhythm of the market. The rustle of wrappers, the shouts of traders, the occasional sound of glass breaking, and the low hum of life trying to survive. The time Tracy and Travis turned 9, they had already mastered the daily hustle. In the mornings, Sarah would braid Tracy's hair into twin puffs and tie a wrapper around Travis's waist like a mini vendor. Then they would help her push the puff-puff cart to the market. "Sing for Mama," Sarah would say. And they did. They stood side by side on a crate near her stall. Tracy's voice was soft and clear like morning wind. Travis had a richer tone, surprising for a boy his age. Together they harmonized like they were born for it. Their songs drew customers before the scent of fried dough did. People started stopping just to listen. A few brought coins, others brought their phones. "They sing better than the radio." Someone laughed one day filming them. Sarah stood in the background, proud but wary. Talent was a beautiful thing, but in their world, it also attracted predators. One afternoon, Sarah was washing trays at the back of the stall when a sleek black car pulled up near the market entrance. No one ever parked there. It was where the goats grazed and boys played. Dice, a tall woman, stepped out. High heels, braided hair tied into a golden knot. Sunglasses that probably cost more than Sarah's entire stall. She looked around, then made her way toward the children. "You're the twins everyone talks about?" she asked, removing her glasses. Tracy nodded, holding her brother's hand. "I've seen your video. Twice, actually. No, 3 times. And I haven't stopped thinking about it." Sarah appeared just then, wiping her hands. "Can I help you, Ma?" The woman turned to her. "Are you their mother?" "Yes. I'm Belinda. I manage young talent in the US. Someone posted a clip of them online. It went viral. You should see the comments. People are obsessed with their voices." Sarah blinked. "Viral? Millions of views. I'm here because I want to take them under my wing. Full training, exposure, real investment. These kids are gifted. They just need the right stage." That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. Tracy and Travis lay curled beside her on the mat. Their breathing was steady, peaceful. But her mind churned. She whispered into the dark. "What if I lose them?" Papa Joe, sitting on the veranda, sipped hot water from a tin cup. "Letting them go isn't losing them," he said. "It's giving them wings. I won't be there to protect them. You already have." The decision wasn't easy, but the next day, Sarah gave her answer. "Yes," she told Belinda, "but I'll need to speak to them every day. I need updates. I need your word." "You'll have it," Belinda said. And so, 1 week later, Tracy and Travis boarded a flight for the first time in their lives. They waved from the car as it pulled away, faces lit with excitement, unaware of the way Sarah's chest tightened. With each meter that took them farther, she stood for a long time in the empty compound, her wrapper whipping in the wind. Papa Joe put a hand on her shoulder. "They'll come back, Sarah. You'll see." For the first 2 months, everything went well. Daily video calls, photos, text messages full of joy, Tracy learning piano, Travis working with vocal coaches, Belinda praising their discipline. They looked happier than ever, but in the 3rd month, the calls stopped. At first, Sarah thought it was the network. Then she thought they were busy. Then she knew. She tried Belinda's number. No answer. She texted, "Are they okay?" and got 1 blue tick. No reply. Every day after that, she called again, and again, and again. Silence. The walls around her closed in. Every dream, every fear she had locked away began to scream. Then Papa Joe collapsed. It started with small things. Forgetting to eat, sleeping all day, a cough that wouldn't go away. "Let me take you to the clinic," Sarah begged. "I'm fine," he said. "I just need rest." But one morning, she found him passed out in the kitchen. She ran to the market, begged a taxi driver for help, and took him to the hospital. He never woke up. Papa Joe died 3 days later. They wouldn't even let her see him before the burial. His body had been claimed already by a man she had never met, George. He arrived a week later, tall, built like a man who lifted weights just for the mirror. He wore a gold chain and the kind of cologne that lingered too long. Sarah was sweeping the yard when he showed up. "You must be the one staying in my father's house." Sarah lowered the broom. I lived here with him. He said it was fine." He looked around, unimpressed. "Yeah, well, he's dead. So I'm clearing the place. Gonna sell it." "You can't." "I am. Please," Sarah said. "This is my home, my children's home." He leaned in close. "Then maybe find someone else to cry to. I'm not your charity." Later that evening, he returned. Sarah was inside, feeding a child from the neighborhood who often wandered by for leftover puff-puff. She didn't hear the door creak open. "I have a proposition," George said. She turned sharply. "What are you doing inside?" He smiled, teeth too white. "You want to stay? You'll need to convince me." She froze. "I'm not my father," he continued. "I don't give things for free." When she didn't respond, he stepped forward. "You know, you're beautiful. Even now." Sarah picked up the child and stepped back. "You need to leave." George's smile vanished. "Suit yourself." He left. The next morning, the locks were changed. Her things already tossed outside. She stood in the street again, bag over her shoulder. The wind felt colder this time, the silence heavier, the ache in her chest sharper than ever before. No Tracy, no Travis, no Papa Joe, just a promise echoing in her bones. "I'll raise you both, no matter what." And she began to walk. The church porch became her roof, the concrete floor, her mattress, her last pair of wrappers, her only blanket. For over a month, Sarah woke before dawn to avoid questions, before the gatekeeper opened. The church doors, she was already gone, wandering the dusty streets of the city, carrying nothing but her bag, her faith, and a fading photo of Tracy and Travis. She never begged out loud, but her eyes did. The only place that gave her peace was the church itself. She sat in the same corner every day, clutching the photo frame, whispering to God in silence. "Just keep them safe. I can take anything, but please don't let anything happen to them." Some days there was food, leftover rice from the church's feeding program. Other days, nothing. Her body got used to the emptiness. Her bones didn't. The hunger made her hallucinate sometimes. Once, she thought she heard Travis's laughter coming from the pulpit. Another time, she saw Sandra's face in a stained glass. Window, smiling faintly, lips moving in words she couldn't hear. She stopped sharing her visions with anyone. People already looked through her, all except Joan. Joan was a youth worker at the church. 23, wore big glasses and carried a notebook everywhere. She noticed Sarah from day one. One afternoon after service, she knelt beside her. "You don't have to tell me everything," she said gently, "but I want to help." Sarah just stared at her, eyes dim with fatigue. Joan pressed something into her palm. A protein bar and a bottle of water. Sarah stared at the items for a long time. Then she broke. She cried, quietly, violently, in Joan's arms. Later that week, Joan created a post on social media. "This woman has no home, no food, and no family close. But every day she comes here to pray. She hasn't missed a service. She carries a picture of 2 children, her children. We don't know where they are, but we're hoping this message reaches them. Please share." The photo went viral in a day. But no one could have predicted where it would reach. Across the Atlantic, inside a Los Angeles recording studio, Tracy scrolled through her messages during a break. She froze. It was Joan's post. She stared at the photo. Her hand shook. "Travis!" Her brother ran in, still wearing his headphones. She showed him the post. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. They were on the next flight. No agents, no bodyguards, no press release. Just 2 kids with passports, backpacks, and one goal. We need to find Mom. Meanwhile, Sarah's body gave up. Joan found her slumped over her prayer seat one morning. Her skin was icy, her lips pale, her breathing shallow. "Ma'am? Sarah?" Joan shook her. Nothing. Panic surged through her. With the help of church workers, they rushed her to the nearest clinic. The doctors took one look at her and hesitated. "Does she have family?" they asked. "No," Joan said, "but she needs care. Please." The hospital refused further treatment after initial stabilization. Policy: no ID, no insurance, no next of kin. Joan begged. "She's slipping away." The answer was the same. She sat in the waiting room, sobbing, calling every contact she had. Nothing. Until the door burst open, 2 voices called in unison. "Where is she?" Tracy and Travis. Joan stood, stunned. "Are you?" "We're her children," Travis said firmly. The first thing Sarah saw when she opened her eyes was light. Not the dull gray she'd grown used to, the sky behind the church cross, the blurred mornings on concrete floors. This was soft, clean, white sheets, the scent of antiseptic, a beeping sound she didn't recognize, and then voices. Familiar, warm. Mom? Her head turned slowly. There they were. Tracy, grown, beautiful, her cheeks wet with tears, and Travis, taller, broader, but with the same eyes he'd had as a boy. She blinked. A tear rolled down her temple. "Are you real?" she whispered, her voice hoarse. Tracy nodded. "We came as soon as we found out. I'm sorry we took so long." Travis leaned closer, gripping her hand. "Mom, you're safe now. We've got you." Sarah let out a sound between a sob and a laugh. Her arms trembled as she lifted them. The twins fell into her embrace like they were children again. "I thought I lost you," she cried. "You didn't," Tracy whispered back. "You never will." The recovery was slow but full of light. For the first time in years, Sarah slept in a real bed, ate warm meals 3 times a day, woke to soft blankets instead of stiff wrappers and concrete. Every day, Tracy and Travis filled her in, how Belinda had vanished with their earnings, how she had taken their phones and blocked their access to Sarah, how the authorities eventually tracked her down. But she delayed everything, Travis said bitterly. "She stole time. We should have been here. We should have protected you." Sarah touched his face gently. "You were children. You had your path. I never blamed you." They told her about the fame, the interviews, the shows, the songs. "We've built something," Tracy said, "but none of it matters without you." A week after Sarah's discharge, they took her home. Not Papa Joe's old flat, a new home. She blinked as the black SUV pulled through the gate. The compound was huge, glistening. White tiles, manicured hedges, a small fountain in the corner. Where are we?" she asked. Tracy smiled. "Your new house, Mom?" Sarah turned, stunned. "What?" Travis handed her a file. Inside, ownership papers. This and 3 more homes in other cities. "Fully in your name," he said. Sarah stared at them. "But I don't deserve—" "Yes, you do," Tracy interrupted gently. "More than anyone." "And the cars," Travis added, "and the driver, and the staff, all yours." Sarah began to cry again. But this time, it was joy. The celebration was brief. There was one last chapter to close. George. They returned to the old neighborhood unannounced. George had just returned from the local bar when Tracy stepped out of the car and walked straight up to him. "We sent money. A package. You remember?" He smirked, nervous. "You must be mistaken." Travis stepped forward, towering. "It had a letter, too. She never got it." George's face darkened. "Prove it." "We don't have to," Tracy said, "because we bought the apartment from you anyway. You already spent the money you stole." George opened his mouth to argue, but then saw Sarah step out of the car. He froze. She didn't speak. Just looked at him, long and silent, and shook her head. That was enough. Days later, a number rang on Sarah's new phone. "Unknown caller." She answered. A voice came through. "It's me, Sandra's mother." Sarah stood still. "We want to see our grandchildren." Sarah's tone turned to ice. "The same children you spat on? That you disowned?" "They're our blood." "And you think blood gives you rights now that they're successful?" "Don't speak to me like that, Sarah. Those children are not yours." Sarah smiled bitterly. "They're more mine than they ever were yours. And if you ever come near them again, are you threatening me?" "I'm protecting them." "Something you never did. Goodbye." She hung up, blocked the number, and exhaled. If you watched until the end, comment the word "unbreakable," subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends and family.